So we're going to show how we could duplicate objects. So there are two ways you could do it. One is what you're kind of used to. You could use the hotkeys Control C, then Control V, and it duplicated the object in what you have selected, which I had the cube selected in the same location. And you could see here that that's what's highlighted. So if I press Control Z to undo so you could see it again, if I have nothing selected, I'm in select box mode. I click the cube, you see it in the outliner here. I click the cube in the 3D viewport, but you see it in the outliner highlighted. And if I press Control C while hovering over the 3D viewport, you see on the bottom it said a message, you copy the object. And then press Control V, you get a message on there, one object been pasted. And you'll see in the outliner that it's been placed, a copy of it's been placed. I can then move it if I choose the move tool. You see that copy is there. So that's one way you could do it. The way you do it in the menu, if you select the object, again, while you're in the editor with the 3D viewport, remember 3D viewport have its own menu here. Under object, you could choose copy. You'll get a message on the bottom here saying copied one selected object. You could do object, then paste. And then you see I can move it. It's still selected. It's just over in the exact same location as the one it copied from. I can move it and you'll see it's there. Another way you could do duplicating is actually use the duplicate command. And what's the difference is I'll put it back in select box mode and I'll deselect. Now I'll select the cube here. It's the shortcut for it is Shift D, but it's under the object menu in the 3D viewport. Duplicate objects is Shift D. What will happen is as soon as I do that, the object will be moving. I'm not clicking on anything. It will be moved. This is what's called grab mode in Blender. And this was primarily the main way you would move objects in past versions of Blender before you had the move, or at least before the move manipulator or transform gizmo was the main way to do it, or promoted as the main way to do it. So the thing is, this move kind of like, I guess in screen space, like parallel to what you see in the viewport. So how it could feel kind of weird, especially if you're coming from other 3D software, if you're not used to this. It's like an acquired taste. How this works is you could, once you're done, you could left click and it'll drop it where it is. Or I'll press Control Z. You see there's a duplicate right here in the viewport first of all. You could see it in the viewport, but you can also see it in the outliner. I'll Control Z to undo it. You could also, this time I'm going to press Shift D. It's also duplicate, remember? It's a hotkey. So wherever you duplicate your mouse is still over. It still feels kind of weird because the icon for the mouse or the cursor there it's not like exactly one-to-one. So you could click, but it's kind of like parallel to the viewport. To cancel it, well, basically you'll still have the duplicate, but it'll just cancel the movement. If you press right click, it will duplicate and put in the exact same spot as the original that you copied from. So it's as if you did copy and paste. You'll see it's here, and I can prove it to you. I could just go to the move tool and move. Now, that's how you could duplicate. Just to explain, I'll delete this. Just to explain the grab mode. We mainly show the move, the rotate, and scale, but the original ways that Blender, and the older version of Blender, that was the prominent ways to move it. If I go back to, let's say, select mode, you could be in any one of these modes. On the there's a hotkey on your keyboard. Well, if you just press the G key, you'll go into grab mode, and you'll be able to move it across the screen. Now, if you want to, you could lock it to an axis, but while you're still in this mode, by pressing the X key, for example, and then it will lock on the X axis. If you press the Y key while you're still in grab mode, it will be on the Y axis, and you press Z, it'll be locked on the Z axis. When you're done, you just left click in your viewport to choose where you wanted to put it, right? Control Z to undo. And there were other shortcuts as well. If you want to do rotation, you just press R and it will rotate it. And again, you could press X to conform it, or basically limit it to just the x-axis, or rotate about the x-axis. Press Y to rotate about the y-axis, or Z to rotate around about the z-axis. And if you want to cancel, you can just right-click. And you can do the same thing for the scale. So this one people still probably use a lot, mainly because you can uniform scale pretty quickly. It depends on your workflow. Whatever works for you, just use it. I think same idea. If you press X, it will scale just on the x-axis, Y on the y-axis, Z. And if you left-click, it will commit it, right? But if you right-click, it will cancel it. So those are other ways you could manipulate the object.
Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.